Today, what I'm going to do is react to the S26 leaks and rumors. So this one's from Zone of Tech. I know Daniel, he's a cool dude. So this was from 6 days ago. There's a few more, much more recent videos with some more stuff. I haven't watched this yet. So let's see what Daniel has to say about the S26.
Let's kick off 2026 in Zone of Tech fashion. First, we have the new rumored privacy display. And this is exactly what it sounds like, a built-in privacy screen protector. This feature would prevent people from viewing your screen from the side, offering privacy similar to a screen protector, but integrated into the display itself, with no impact on quality apparently, and of course no need for extra hardware.
I have some thoughts on this. For example, right now I have my phone on the desk, just like this, just to the side. Let's say I'm sitting here working on the computer and I look across to my phone very quickly. If it obscures my vision of the display, even when it's not directly in front of me, that could be a problem. I hope that isn't an issue, because quite often I do sit the phone on a stand to the side of the computer, which means I'm not directly in front of it. If this is true, I hope it's a feature that can be switched off.
But okay, how do we know that this is actually happening? Well, Samsung has already showcased a prototype a few months ago with this exact same feature, and they called it Flex Magic Pixel. And the best part, according to these screenshots, you'll be able to toggle it on and off.
If we can switch that feature off on demand when you don't want to use it, that is fantastic. And yeah, that's really game changing when it comes to screen tech. I think when it comes to smartphones, Samsung typically have the best displays. That's why all the other brands buy them from Samsung.
And what's even cooler is that according to these leaks, with One UI 8.5, you'll be able to fully automate and schedule this based on your location. But what about the other S26 devices? Well, like I mentioned in the previous video, there's only gonna be two more, the S26 and the S26 Plus. As for the S26 Edge, we still don't know whether it's been cancelled or not.
My thoughts on the Edge are this. If it has worse cameras and worse battery, why do you want worse camera, worse battery just to have a slightly thinner phone? It doesn't make sense to me.
It seems like the Ultra could use a brand new generation of OLED panels called the M14. But according to a more recent post by Exynos on X, this would enable much higher peak brightness, up to 6,000 nits and up to 2,600 nits of full screen peak brightness.
That display sounds insane. That kind of brightness level is nice to have if you live in a sunny country where you struggle to see the screen at times.
The S26 and S26 Plus are said to be getting a new 50 megapixel ISO sensor for the main camera. So technically a new sensor, but the same megapixel count and also the same sensor size of 1/1.57 inches. The ultrawide is said to remain unchanged at 12 megapixels. However, we could be seeing a new 12 megapixel telephoto up from the previous 10. The Ultra won't be getting any massive upgrades either. According to a new report on X, it will use the exact same setup as last year, but only with a slightly better 3x telephoto camera, going up from 10 megapixels to 12, just like the regular S26 and the S26 Plus.
Although there might not be a better telephoto, what we might see is better lenses, so they can improve the zoom quality quite a lot if they use better quality lenses. Maybe that's what we'll see. And also they might be leaning on the software side of things from the newer chipset to enhance that telephoto and use AI to sharpen it up. A lot of phones are very, very good at doing that these days.
But don't get too excited, because Exynos posted on X that we actually won't be getting that 12 megapixel upgrade. And instead, all three models will get the 10 megapixel telephoto camera from the S25 and the Fold 7 with that very tiny 1/3.94 inch sensor. That 3x telephoto was bad, like really bad.
I recently made a video with the OnePlus 15 versus the OnePlus 15R, and I took a 3x photo here on the desk with the two phones. The difference is the 15 will switch into its telephoto 3x, whereas the 15R will crop in on the primary camera. And when I put those photos side by side, the 15R actually looked better than the flagship 15. So I wonder if the 3X is just kind of a little bit pointless until you go a bit further than that.
But what about the batteries in these new prices. Well, the S26 is going up from $4,000 to $4,300. The S26 Plus is staying at $4,900, while the Ultra could be going up from $5,000 finally after so many years to $5,200. Additionally, we could also be seeing the new built-in Qi 2 magnetic charging being added.
I hope they put the Qi 2 magnets, the battery increase. I can believe that. I can believe that, definitely.
And even though this battery pack would apparently only support 15 watts of wireless charging, the good news is that it connects magnetically. So this basically proves that Samsung is going to add proper Qi 2 magnetic charging support. Another small detail, but a box of the S26 Ultra seems to have also been leaked on X. Based on this box, we may also see some new color options, which means that you'll be able to pair them really nicely with our wallpapers. Link down below. Oh, and do you see that shadow on the box? Well, according to Exynos, we would be seeing 4 new colors for the S26 Ultra: black shadow, white shadow, galactic blue, and ultraviolet. Oh, and I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's no titanium in their name anymore. And even though this hasn't been leaked, my guess is that Samsung could be dropping titanium as well after only 2 years, just like Apple did with the iPhone 17 Pro lineup.
Probably the reason why they've removed titanium, if they have done that, is because they've realized that most people will put a case on their phone unless they're extremely rich people, and extremely rich people, when they drop their phone, they'll probably just buy another one. So it probably doesn't matter if you get rid of the titanium. And the reality is, if you drop your phone, whether it's titanium or aluminium, from waist height onto concrete, you're going to put a dent in it either way. So maybe it helps with preventing the phone from bending. But Samsung figured that out a long time ago with aluminium. So well, I've got to do a battery swap. I'm going to switch back to the video and do the battery swap.
Okay, so when are we expecting to see this new lineup being announced? Well, once again, according to Exynos on X, this should be around the 25th of February, so at the end of next month for the unveil date, and then the launch would be sometime in March.
So big shout out to Daniel. That was a fantastic video, lots of information in there. Go check out his channel, Zone of Tech. Okay, so there's another video now, Tech Talk TV. He released it 2 days ago and it's on 100,000 views. So a lot of people watch this, and it's a short video, so it won't take as long as the first one.
So yeah, it's official now. The Galaxy S26 Ultra just took the crown as the fastest smartphone in the world. And on top of that, there are a few interesting updates worth talking about, so let's jump right in. What's up guys, Sal here. So let's start with the camera, because while the S26 Ultra isn't getting some massive camera hardware overhaul, there are still some meaningful changes happening. The first one is on the software side, specifically the camera algorithm. According to Exynos, the S26 Ultra can now capture more natural skin tones closer to how people actually look in real life.
I think this is likely to be just a software AI enhancement as opposed to actual improved cameras. It's all going to be computational photography and scene recognition stuff.
Google has already been doing this really well with Pixel phones for a while now, so it's good to see Samsung finally taking this seriously. Now, there's been some confusion around whether the S26 Ultra would once again get a custom 4 Galaxy version of the Snapdragon Elite Gen 5. And the answer is yes.
So I have some thoughts on that. Although the chipset has the potential to be the fastest chipset out there, if the software isn't optimized for it properly, if the cooling system can't keep it cool enough, it might not perform better than some other phones, for example gaming phones that have full-on built-in fans. So going back to the video, the OnePlus 15 versus OnePlus 15R, I compared them in a benchmark test, and surprisingly the 15R with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5, which is not as good as the Elite, actually had a better overall loop score in a 20-minute benchmark test off the mark, and it sustained that lead for about 8 loops before it started to drop down. And the reason for that is because the Elite chip in the OnePlus 15 is very powerful and it's got this performance advantage, but it runs so hot and the device's cooling chamber can't keep it cool enough to sustain this crazy performance that it has. And because of that, it seems like OnePlus have put a software patch in where it just kind of levels out the performance at a certain point and never actually lets it reach its peak performance. So it really does depend on whether Samsung have upgraded their cooling chamber to the point where it can make use of that potential. If they haven't, then it might not be the fastest phone.
For context, the iPhone 17 Pro Max scores around 3700 in single core and 9800 in multi-core. What's even more interesting is that the OnePlus 15 is also running the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, yet its scores are slightly lower than the S26 Ultra. You see, the camera bump on the S26 Ultra is huge, roughly double the thickness of the S25 Ultra. To keep it from looking ridiculous, Samsung is using a dual-layer camera module similar to what they did with the S25 Edge. Visually, it should look cleaner, but let's be honest, this still won't fix the wobbling issue.
That is a real problem, the table wobble. But it's not a problem if you put a case on your phone.
Finally, we already know February 25th is the Unpacked event date for the S26 lineup.
So there we go, that's the official date for the unveiling of the new devices. It's crazy to think that Samsung produces camera sensors for other brands like Oppo with the Find X9 Pro. Why can't they get to the level of camera? It's going to be a software thing. It's not just software though, it's also the lenses as well. So the sensor is just the part behind the scenes, but if you put rubbish lenses in front of that sensor, you're going to diminish the camera. That's just how it's going to go. A while back, I got to look at the Zeiss headquarters in Germany, and they were talking a lot about, you know, using glass elements and things like that in the cameras, which increases the weight of the cameras and the phones, but improves the quality, the optical quality in front of that sensor. So this is a brand new one today. SuperSaf released this on his SuperSaf Speaks channel, which is their podcast channel. Maybe it's a cut down version of their podcast. I've got a feeling that this might be kind of like this video where he's reacting to other videos.
We of course have to do a roundup and an update of all of the new fresh leaks that we've had. The newest one that we've had is from Android Authority, where they've looked at the release of One UI 8.5. They've dug in and they've found some renders which pretty much confirm the leaked renders that we've had from OnLeaks and Android Headline. So we've seen these before. There is a camera island. So this is similar to what we see on the Fold 7.
Whoever mentioned that it looks like the Xperia, I see what you mean now with the little island thing.
So rather than having just 3 individual rings, they're going to be housed within this camera island. This is both for the S26, the S26 Plus, as well as the S26 Ultra. So they're all going to follow this sort of incremental update. We've also seen some leaked wallpapers. Now, these leaked wallpapers come from ex-user, Twitter user, Reckless. There's one that's kind of like a grayish one. I think that's going to be maybe for the black version. There's one that's got a bit of an orange hue to it, so that's probably going to be for an orange version. And then we've got something that's kind of like a purpley sort of, you know, tone, like a light shade of purple. We've also seen a render from Ice Universe, which is kind of like a mint green.
I have seen a wallpaper that is a bold purple, and if that one is released, that's the one that I'm going to be getting, and it's that style with the S. Those colors there are very safe colors in my opinion. You've got like a girly one, you got the other one that's kind of more for the dudes, and then you got the neutral color. That's a very safe approach. But if they do the bold purple one, which I've seen some rumors about, that one's gonna, yeah, that's gonna be the one, I think.
Another rumor that we've also seen is that there is a faster charger, that Samsung's going to be releasing a faster wireless charger, which is going to support 25 watts of wireless charging.
So that kind of supports the theory that they might put the Qi magnets in there, hopefully. I've just realized how long I've been going now. It's been a bit too long. So I think what we're going to do is skip ahead. Let's have a look at this moment here, which is the spike on this video.
So Samsung has announced the chip, the Samsung Exynos 2600. We've got a nice little animation around that. But from what we're reading on most reports is that Samsung still has a contract with Qualcomm where they can't use more than 25% of their Exynos chips in the S series.
I think there is a strong possibility that the base S26 will have the Exynos. That's my thoughts on that. I think the Ultra will definitely have the Snapdragon and maybe the Plus model as well. But I've got a feeling the base model will have Exynos. We've seen it here in Europe before. I know US, you guys are lucky. You usually get the Snapdragon and everything. Let's look at the next video. This is from Sam Mobile. This is an entire channel dedicated to Samsung.
Here are 5 leaks about the S26 Ultra to get you excited. Welcome back to Sam Mobile TV. First one is the Snapdragon 8 Elite 5.
The 4 Galaxy version of the chip is always an overclocked version of that chip. So, for example, you put it side by side with the OnePlus or any other phone that has the Gen 5 Elite Gen 5, the clock speed is going to be faster on the Samsungs. But again, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, it all depends on the optimization of the software and also the amount of effort put into the cooling systems.
Number 2, 60-watt fast charging. For the first time in 5 years, Samsung are updating their charging speed on their Ultra phones. For the longest time, it's just been 45 watts as the max charging speed.
So this is a welcomed upgrade. If true, it's only really going to affect off the mark and to a certain point where it starts to slow down. But if you find yourself with low battery in the morning, you can give it a quick charge and get more power to it in a shorter amount of time. But like he says, you probably have to buy a new charger if your current one is 45 watts.
It wasn't just cable charging that looks to be upgraded. It looks like wireless charging is going to go from 15 watt to 25 watt as well. So the charging all round for the Ultra, it looks like, is going to improve, which is great news. Number 3, camera improvements. From a hardware point of view, at least from a sensor point of view, I think there's only really one that's going to get upgraded, maybe the 3 times. So the main camera here, there's rumors that it's going to be down to an f1.4 aperture, which I think will be great for lower light performance. That open aperture will let more light in. And then you've got the 5 times, which should go from an f3.4 down to an f2.9.
Better apertures definitely shows they've made some upgrades to the optics. So yeah.
There's also a leak and rumor out there about the lens coating. So potentially the coating over the lens will help reduce reflections even more.
The coatings are so important because they stop the light from bouncing around inside the lenses. So when you take photos at night, if there's like lights around, artificial lights, what can happen is the light bounces off and then it ends up in a different part of the picture. If you can reduce that, yeah, you're going to see improvements there too, less distortion, because then the AI starts seeing that and trying to fix it, and then it all goes wrong. So yeah, if they fix the coatings again on top of lenses and the ISP upgrades, lens coatings will improve the camera.
Samsung look like they're actually changing the design of the S26 Ultra. The main things we're hearing or seeing from some of the leaks is slightly more rounded corners, and also a camera island rather than just individual floating lenses. And the last one, possibly the biggest one and the most latest one, is about the display. It's going to look like, according to some leaks from One UI 8.5, feature what looks like a privacy screen.
I had a couple more videos, but I think we'll wrap it up. Here's a little summary of my findings today. So we're going to have that privacy display, which can be switched on and off, which is going to be fantastic. I think that's a brilliant feature. I hope they keep the anti-reflective coating that the S25 has. Slight camera upgrades, mostly they're going to be to the lenses and the ISP, the software computational photography side of things. Much more powerful chip. No mention of a bigger vapor cooling chamber. That would be cool if they do that. I have heard rumors that they might be upgrading Bixby by bringing in an AI partner. They're exploring that idea, which could be a good idea, but then what happens to Gemini? Do they still work with Gemini? I think they kind of have to at this point. Design-wise, very little has changed. There's a little bit of a difference I've seen in some pictures where the stylus is now kind of wrapped around the corner. The camera module will actually look quite similar to my case here because it's going to have that island type thing around the lenses this time and not these black rings that they have right now. Software, I've already done 8.5 beta tips and tricks. I'm sure there's going to be some brand new AI features. There always is with Samsung phones on release day. Do I think it's worth buying it S26 Ultra in March or buy S25 Ultra now for less? I think if you're going to buy an S25 Ultra, wait until just before the keynote, and that's probably when you'll get the best price on the S25 Ultra. I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining this experimental live stream. I may make a separate Galaxy S26 Ultra or S26 Elite video of my own. I think all the videos I've watched have been good. But what I think I could do is kind of share a different opinion on some of the stuff that's going to change. Right, that's it. We'll wrap it up. Appreciate you guys for watching this one. Manly one. How's it going? Thanks for watching, much appreciated, and thanks for bearing with me. Apologies for the first one that went wrong, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Now I've got to figure out how to stop this thing.